Hi there, lovely, and welcome to Let's Chat. I'm Rhonda Crimes, and I'm a certified life and leadership coach and trainer for everyday women just like you who are tired of being people-pleasing good girls, or who I prefer to call super givers. I'm here to do all I can to guide and support these beautiful super givers in my community to be able to use their voice, make their stand, and live their life their way. If that sounds like something you'd like to know more about, keep listening and don't be shy to reach out and take advantage of my offers and invitations for one-to-one and group coaching, training and mentoring opportunities, where together we'll curiously explore what is most important for you to stand for, to compassionately encourage you to speak your truth and to courageously live your life aligned to your heart's desire, with confidence and without guilt. In this episode, let's chat about myth-busting boundaries. When a super giver hears the word boundary, they often feel a sense of resistance and they will shrink or contract. Because to you, boundary means no. And because you've grown up to be a people pleaser, you believe you always have to say yes. This is what keeps you safe, so you will be liked and fit in. Anything that puts that at risk is something that you will do your best to keep pushing away, either consciously or unconsciously. Trust me, I'm going to do my best to blow those myths that you might be using out of the water. Let me ask you some questions. Do you find it difficult to find the time to do or achieve what you think is important and what you want to do? Do you struggle with a particular relationship where you feel resentment build and then maybe even explode sometimes? Is there a time in your day where you just end up getting stuck in a place that Adam Grant, the organizational psychologist, refers to as blah? Somewhere between languishing and burnout. So you just throw in the towel. Do you put things off, procrastinate, or have that little voice inside your head telling you all about getting things done, but you're just not able to prioritize them? I can almost hear you saying, well, yeah, I do. But what has any of that got to do with boundaries? Oh, let me explain. The piece that joins all of these questions together is around the clarity you have for the things that are important for you, and then just how forcefully you will defend them. If you aren't totally clear, you won't put in as much effort. Boundaries are merely a servant to defending what you clearly know to be important to and for your values and principles. The more unclear you are about these, the harder and fuzzier it is to set and maintain boundaries. That is when you go looking for the reasons to validate why the boundaries, just don't work. When in reality, you're sending mixed messages to the people around you, and they either can't identify your boundary because it's so wishy-washy, or they know they can take advantage of you because you don't know where it starts and ends, and they know you'll give in. Boundaries are a reflection of what you value in your life, consciously or unconsciously. An effective boundary has a clear definition. It is transferable. It can be flexible if you choose. It's often contextual, and it gives you the power balance to make choices that you will enjoy or be okay with. But before we go any further, let's start popping off the myths about setting and maintaining boundaries. Myth number one: boundaries means always having to say no. This is such a contradiction, because when you say yes to what other people want you to do, you're saying no to yourself. What if you could make setting boundaries mean saying yes to more of what you want, and therefore you feel less resentment or frustration? You get more time to do with what's important for you. You'll likely then have more energy too, because you're doing the stuff that lights you up. And then there is less chance of codependence, addictive or destructive power behavior in your relationships. Myth number 2, boundaries always need to be big and heavy. It's not true. Some boundaries can be really light and simple, like, I don't drink beer. I don't run, I walk. When you own your boundary, it becomes an ideal opportunity for having a conversation aimed at meeting your needs, and then to collaborate a way forward that can be mutually agreed upon. For a super giver, your boundaries may look like topics you aren't willing or feel free to discuss, often without any real confirmation this is the case. You just have it in your head you can't, or you don't want to. Holding your boundaries may look like sending an incoming call to message rather than interrupt the interaction you're having with someone else, and also requesting them to ignore their phone if it rings partway through. Not big, not heavy. Myth number 3, boundaries will always be confrontational. This one. Usually spoken by someone who's been forced to toe the line for way too long. If you are in a committed relationship with another person, either at home or at work, setting boundaries that honour and respect you shouldn't become a confrontational power dynamic. The problem there isn't about the boundary. The confrontation problem is about the other person not respecting you as an equal, and that, my lovely, is a whole nother conversation. Myth number 4, boundaries will mean I'm selfish. When you set up a boundary that respects and protects your most precious resources of time, energy, and money, you are actually more able to help and serve more people more efficiently and more effectively. This myth seed has been planted and then usually only thrown back at you by someone because you're not doing what they want. Who's selfish now? Myth number 5, boundaries take too long and take too much effort to hold in place. So this is kind of like saying putting your own needs out there as a priority is a waste of time, when the reality is that your time gets wasted doing stuff you really don't want to do, or you waste way too much time making up creative excuses to get out of doing it. The small amount of time it takes to set a boundary can literally free up so much of your time. And as for keeping them in place, it only takes a nanosecond to say no, a little longer to say no thank you, or no, that doesn't fit my schedule, or no, that isn't something I do. Myth number 6, boundaries don't always work. This myth is born out of the belief that you set and forget boundaries. But just like the fences on farms and stations, they do need tending and protecting from the dingoes and camels to remain in place. Knowing that boundaries will be tested, that they will be challenged, is all part of the deal. But forewarned is forearmed. You can be prepared to repeat and reinforce because You know your boundaries are protecting you from things that don't belong inside them. A boundary being challenged doesn't mean it isn't working. It means it is. So I hope by now you can see that what they are saying about boundaries is not always the truth. What's funny, not funny, is that so often, even though you might not think you have a boundary, you usually do. Ever felt ticked off when someone crossed the line? Ever felt that burning resentment when someone has done or not done what was so obvious? Ever felt like you've been disregarded, exposed, exploited, or just not listened to? That is because you do have a boundary, but maybe you haven't communicated it effectively. It was an unsaid rule, or perhaps an unsaid expectation of a role. So let me finish off by giving you some steps to bring clarity to the boundaries you do have, which will in turn, I hope, help you to communicate them with more confidence. Complete these sentence prompts in relation to some of the things where you have felt ticked off, resentful, or disregarded in some way. Question 1, what I want is ... And I realize for some of you that is a tough question because you're just not practiced in answering it. If this is you, the starting point might be what you don't want, and then you turn it around because a big hint. What you want is the opposite of what you don't want. Question 2, this is important to me because ... Dig into the reasons why. What is the value you hold around this? And what are the benefits you'll gain when your boundary is respected? Question 3, I will say yes to this when ... This is how you'll manage your most precious resources of time, energy, and money. So the actions you will take that are aligned to the boundary you have in place. Remember, I said boundaries can be flexible and context relevant. Number 4, I will communicate this to the people it will concern by ... Understand that the boundaries that you set will be challenged. So get some responses ready. It might be useful to have someone else on board to help you practice saying it in a calm state and from a neutral place before the next infringement comes along. I know sometimes it can be useful to have a what to say script to use as a kind of framework that you can build your scenario around. I have a few of those for boundaries from my Truly Deeply You program that might be useful to you. Just click on the link in the notes and if you find it helpful, and I'll send them to you. Lydia Hall says, healthy boundaries are not walls. They are the gates and fences that allow you to enjoy the beauty of your own garden. I couldn't agree more. I truly hope you enjoyed this episode of Let's Chat About Myth-Busting Boundaries. I would love to encourage you to go out and get on to erecting those fences and gates and really begin to enjoy your own garden. If you'd like any help with getting clarity, setting or maintaining boundaries, let me know. I have my Truly Deeply You program coming out again soon. This is where we can get into all this great stuff. And if you get on my first in line list, you'll be the first to hear about it when it does. Because with all my heart, I want you to be able to use your voice, make your stand, and live your life your way with confidence and without guilt. Just click the link in the notes to subscribe, and I will welcome you into my Super Giver community. Thanks for being here right to the very end of the episode. I hope there were just enough ahas or oh no's to be of value for you. I truly enjoyed chatting with you, and if you did too, can I ask that you share it with friends who would benefit or be interested as well? Also, for more brownie points, could I ask you to leave a comment, either reviewing it, asking for more info, or letting me know you've got other questions or topics you'd like me to cover off? Much love. Till next time.